Welcome to our deep dive, and today we're taking a trip to the Forest of Arden.
Ah, yes, the Forest of Arden.
Yep, we're exploring Shakespeare's As You Like It. We've got the play itself right here as our guide, and we're going to uncover all sorts of fascinating things about the characters, the themes, and even, some of those editorial decisions that kind of shaped how we see this comedy today.
It's amazing how As You Like It just speaks to those universal ideas, love, exile, justice. But it presents them all within this really unique framework of the Forest of Arden.
Yeah, and it's more than just a setting, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The forest becomes the symbol of freedom and transformation. It's like an escape for the
You
characters.
think about Duke Sr., right?
Mm-hmm.
He's been banished unjustly,
Yeah,
but he doesn't just survive in the forest. He actually thrives there.
exactly. He
Yeah.
finds contentment away from all that, courtly corruption.
And that's what makes his speech so powerful,
Which one?
that sweets are the uses of adversity speech.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about making the best of a bad situation, but finding genuine value in a simpler life.
Makes you wonder, though, doesn't it? Is he just putting on a brave face? Or has he really found a deeper truth out there in the forest?
Right. Shakespeare kind of leaves that for us to decide.
Mm.
But it's interesting how other characters react to the forest, too.
Oh, totally.
We've got Jaques, the melancholy lord, and he seems to find the forest a place of contemplation, but it also kind of reinforces his cynical views.
Oh, Jacques is such a fascinating character. He's always observing and reflecting. Like when he compares the weeping deer to a worldling writing their will, giving more to those who already have too much.
It's like he sees the same inequalities reflected everywhere.
Everywhere, even in nature.
Yeah. So we have Duke Sr. finding solace, Jacques finding confirmation of his cynicism, and then, of course, we have the lovers, Orlando and Rosalind.
Ah, yes, the heart of the play. Their relationship really drives the story. You've got Orlando, this honorable young man dealing with injustice from his brother.
And then Rosalind, the witty, intelligent daughter of Duke
Oh.
Sr.
Right, and their first meeting is just electric.
Oh, that wrestling match?
Yeah.
Orlando defeats the Duke's champion, and Rosalind is totally captivated.
But their path to love is anything but straightforward.
Oh, no. Rosalind has to disguise herself as a young man named Ganymede.
Exactly. She's fearing for her safety after her father's banishment and escapes to the forest.
And that disguise lets her do something really remarkable.
What's that?
She takes control of her own destiny. She interacts with Orlando, freely tests his affections, teaches him about love.
Think about it. Disguised as Ganymede Rosalind, has agency and freedom that would have been impossible for her as a woman in that society.
It flips the script completely.
It does.
And it leads to some really playful and insightful moments, like when she gives Orlando a chain from her own neck.
A symbol of their connection.
Exactly, even though he doesn't know her true identity.
It shows that love can go beyond appearances.
I love that. And it ties into this whole theme of how appearances can be deceiving.
And how true identity can be hidden.
Speaking of hidden identities and interpretations,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about that debate over Miranda's speech in The Tempest.
Oh, yes. After Caliban's attempted rape,
Right.
the Folger Shakespeare Library edition really highlights this editorial dilemma.
So these early editors thought it was improper and indecent for Miranda to directly confront Caliban.
Yeah, and so they gave those lines to Prospero, her father.
It's wild how one editorial choice can change our whole perception of a character.
It really is. We're left with this Miranda who seems passive after such a traumatic experience.
It raises some big questions about how editorial decisions throughout history have shaped our understanding of Shakespeare, especially his female characters.
You start to wonder, are we seeing them as Shakespeare intended, or have their voices been changed?
It makes you realize that even with classic texts, you got to be aware of those layers of interpretation that have been added over the centuries.
We can't take things at face value.
Right. We have to dig deeper. Consider the context.
And that's where the excitement of literary analysis really comes. Wouldn't you say? It's like we're detectives uncovering clues about the characters and their motivations.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Yeah, it's not just about the words they speak, but how those words have been presented to us.
Exactly. It's like we're piecing together a puzzle.
Exactly. And As You Like It is a puzzle with so many pieces.
We can't forget about Touchstone.
The court jester.
Yeah. He goes with Rosalind and Celia into the forest.
He's more than just comic relief, though, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. He's got this sharp wit, and his observations are like little commentaries on the play's themes.
Touchstone's like this agent of chaos, poking fun at courtly love and all those silly human behaviors.
And his wordplay is just brilliant.
Oh, it is. Give me an example.
Okay, how about this one? He says to Corinne that courtesy would be uncleanly if courtiers were shepherds.
Haha, right.
And then he adds, why we are still handling our ewes and their fells, you know, are greasy.
It's hilarious, but there's a point there too, right?
Yeah, he's basically saying that all those manners and social customs are kind of meaningless,
Yeah.
especially when you compare them to the natural world.
The shepherds don't have time for all that fancy stuff.
Exactly. And his relationship with Audrey is another interesting contrast.
Audrey the country girl.
Yeah. It's like a counterpoint to Orlando and Rosalind's romance.
Touchstone and Audrey are all about pragmatism and attraction.
Not so much about those lofty ideals.
Right. Their scenes are just pure comedy gold.
But there's some tenderness underneath, too.
Do you remember when they run into Sir Oliver Martext?
Oh, yeah. The clumsy vicar.
Touchstone just mocks the idea of being married by someone so foolish.
He compares him to bad wainscoting. That one of them will prove a shrunk panel and like green timber warp.
He's got a joke for everything.
He does. But later, he admits to Audrey that he'd rather be married by Martext than someone who might actually marry them well.
It's like a glimpse behind the mask.
Yeah. Even the most cynical characters crave connection.
Absolutely. And speaking of different kinds of love, we've got Sylvius and Phoebe, too.
Oh, yes. They add a whole other layer to the play.
Sylvius is so lovesick, hopelessly devoted to Phoebe.
But she's totally smitten with Rosalind disguised as Ganymede.
It's a classic case of mistaken identity.
And it just creates this tangled web of unrequited love.
So many comedic misunderstandings.
Makes you think about all the different ways we experience love.
Passion, infatuation. It's all there.
Do you think Shakespeare is saying that true love needs something more than just attraction or those romantic ideals?
That's a good question. Maybe it requires understanding self-awareness and a willingness to look beyond just appearances.
It's fascinating how Shakespeare writes his female characters.
They're not just there to be admired.
No, they're witty, resourceful, and they take control of their own lives.
Even in that Elizabethan society, he gives them agency.
Like Rosalind. She uses her intelligence to overcome those challenges.
In Celia, she stands by Rosalind even defying her own father.
Such loyalty.
And even Phoebe, with all her flaws, she's determined to get what she wants.
It's a challenge to those stereotypical portrayals of women.
It really is, and that's part of why his work still feels relevant.
We're still figuring out those same issues today.
Gender roles, societal expectations.
It's like Shakespeare was way ahead of his time. He's like holding up this mirror, right?
To human nature.
Yeah. Showing us how we love the masks. We were the choices we make.
And that's why, as you like it, it just keeps resonating.
It's timeless.
Absolutely. The themes, the characters.
And even the setting. The Forest of Arden.
Oh, yeah. It's not just a backdrop.
It's more like a character itself.
A transformative space.
It's where those characters can shed their old identities and become something new.
It's like a return to nature.
Where those social rules don't apply.
People can reconnect with their true selves.
Makes me think about how people today are always looking for escapes.
Retreats, wilderness experiences.
To get away from all the pressure.
It's like we still long for that connection to nature.
Like the characters find in the Forest of Arden.
Interesting parallel.
It seems like no matter how much the world changes, we're still drawn to that idea.
Of finding solace in nature.
And it's not just the setting that feels relevant.
What else?
The characters themselves.
Look, all their flaws.
They feel real.
Like people we might actually know.
We've got the idealist, the cynic, the romantic.
All coming together in this incredible story.
And they all go through these transformations.
Orlando, for instance.
Yeah.
He starts out so angry at his brother.
Full of resentment.
But he learns to let go of that.
Through his interactions with the Duke Rosalind, even nature itself.
He embraces compassion.
Like the forest is this catalyst for growth.
Stripping away everything that's fake.
And forcing those characters to confront who they really are.
Shakespeare's writing is so powerful.
It is.
He creates these characters that feel so human.
We see ourselves in them.
Their struggles, their triumphs.
And even though, as you like it, it's supposed to be a comedy.
It's not all sunshine and roses.
Right. There's betrayal, jealousy, even violence.
But in the end, it's a story about hope.
Redemption.
The power of love and forgiveness.
That resolution with all those weddings.
Everyone seems to find happiness.
It leaves you feeling optimistic.
But there's that touch of melancholy too, right?
With Jaques. Choosing to walk away from it all.
To be alone.
It's like a reminder that life isn't always a neat and tidy package.
Even in a comedy.
Things don't always work out perfectly.
And then there's that epilogue.
Oh, I love the epilogue.
When Rosalind breaks that fourth wall.
Talking directly to the audience.
So meta.
It's like Shakespeare winking at us,
Acknowledging that it's all a performance.
but also inviting us to share in the joy,
She wants everyone to enjoy the play.
both the men and the women.
It's a clever way to get that applause.
But it also reinforces that message of inclusivity.
Finding joy together.
Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into As You Like It.
I hope you've enjoyed exploring this play with us.
We've uncovered some fascinating insights into the characters, the themes, and even the editorial choices that have shaped how we see this comedy today.
If you were to step into the Forest of Arden, which character's journey would you connect with most?
Would you embrace Duke Senior's optimism, Rosalind's wit, or maybe Touchstone's cynicism?
It's something to think about.
Each character offers a unique perspective on life.
And by considering who speaks to us most directly.
We can learn a lot about ourselves.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope you'll continue to explore Shakespeare's plays.
With a newfound curiosity and delight.
And until next time, happy reading.